The Chicago White Sox are on pace to win 19 games this year. Did they finally pick up a win? We're going to talk about it. Stay tuned. This is CrustyKs from the Global Boys Network here, coming to you with the Slate Preview for April 26th. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Sleeper Picks, but more on that later. Let's jump right into this slate. The first game on our slate is the Kansas City Royals taking on the Detroit Tigers. This is the only day game. Kansas City, coming off a rain-shortened game, had to travel here, so it's a little bit of a weird spot for them. Tigers off a day off. We get Seth Lugo versus Reese Olson. Seth Lugo has not been particularly good, neither has Reese Olson. But in this spot, I do like the Tigers. Like I said, it's a weird spot for Kansas City having to travel and then play, a relatively early game. Seth Lugo, expected ERA over 5. K stuff way down, not missing bats at all. Increased sinker usage. Velo on the fastball is down a tick. It just hasn't looked that good. On the other side, Reese Olson, like I said, obviously not looking great either. Kansas City, a little bit scary, but I think you could see a bit of a sleepy team here. It's an extremely weird spot. So give me the Tigers. In terms of Reese Olson, give me his under Ks. This Kansas City team has been phenomenal at the plate. 17% K rate versus right-hand pitching over the last 14 days. On the season, it's every bit just as low at about 19%. This team is having outstanding at-bats, putting bat on ball, not making bad decisions, and it's a tough spot for Reese to rack up strikeouts in all seriousness. But give me the Tigers, give Reese Olson under Ks. Our next one is the Oakland Athletics taking on the Baltimore Orioles. This is Ross Stripling versus Corbin Burnes. Oakland just won a series against the Yankees, which I think is absolutely hilarious. But I'm not very high on the Yankees. Can't say I'm really surprised. In this one, though, Corbin Burnes is a buzzsaw. So for me here, it's Baltimore in every which way. Ross Stripling, he's either going to go 5 innings scoreless or go 5 innings, give up 8 runs. I'm picking the latter. I think Baltimore gets the bats going. I think Orioles team total is more than in play here. Corbin Burnes strikeouts, more than in play here. This Oakland team, extremely high chase rate, extremely low chase contact rate. Overall, high K percent, right around 26% against right-handed pitching. Corbin Burnes, a lot of fastball cutter usage. And I think that's a pitch that this Oakland team is going to struggle with, especially guys like Langoliers. Brett Rooker, obviously, against right-handed pitching, is a extremely high K target. So for me here, like an Orioles PPD or something like that, I think would be a great play, depending on the odds. But it's the Orioles for me here all day long. Our next one is the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. This is Gavin Stone versus Chris Bassett. This is an interesting spot, too. You have the Dodgers, who just played Washington. That's travel to Toronto. So it's a little bit weird spot. They do play a night game at least. I'll be curious to see what kind of lineup they put out. They did rest a couple guys today, so I would assume it's going to be the normal lineup, but you never know with this team. Gavin Stone, been extremely good. He's one of my number one regression candidates, though, and I'm not sure what happens here against Toronto. This lineup doesn't exactly scare me. Vladdy has been abysmal at the plate. And overall, just as a team, they haven't been great. So I think Gavin Stone can pitch well. Definitely be able to hold this Toronto lineup in check. On the other side, Chris Bassett, his 20-pitch mix, it seems, should be able to hold form for at least a little bit here. So I think I look at a first 5 under. It feels like a great spot for that. Or a Dodgers full game, in my opinion. I'm just not bought into this Toronto team at all. Like I said, their lineup is just not good. They're not hitting. And Bassett can only do so much. You're going to face a team like the Dodgers, loaded top to bottom. And whether, he gives up a run or two, that might be all it takes, truthfully, because I'm not sure Toronto can generate any offense here. So give me the Dodgers, give me a first 5 under. Our next one is the Cubs taking on the Boston Red Sox. This is Shohei Minaga versus Cutter Crawford. I think first thing I look at is Cutter Crawford strikeouts. This Cubs team, out of nowhere, has become one of the highest strikeout teams in all baseball over the last 2 weeks. Taking a lot of bad swings, taking a lot of pitches in the zone, really leaving me a bit confused because in the early part of the season, they looked outstanding. They were having great at-bats, and they're just in kind of a funk right now. So now having to go on the road, having to go to Boston, tough spot. And I think Cutter Crawford can get, hit his strikeouts. It's probably around 4.5, maybe 5.5. And I think it's in play. They got Wisdom back, who obviously is a K target. Guys like Michael Busch, yeah, he's swinging the bat well, but he's a K target as well. Maya, I can go on and on. Ian Happ, you're going to see 5 or 6 K targets in this lineup, more than enough for Cutter Crawford to get there. On the other side, Shota, I like the over Ks for him as well. This Boston team, depending on who they put out, extremely K friendly. If they choose to start Devers against the lefty, which I'm not sure they will. He's a great K target for Shota. So I just think there's too many targets here for both guys. I think both guys go over their Ks. Small lean to the under. I'm a little weary of both teams' bullpens, truthfully, but I do lean to the under. My favorite spot, though, like I said, is over Ks for both guys. What's going on, everybody? I just want to take this moment to give a special shout out to our sponsor, Sleeper Picks. Thank you for sponsoring this video, and don't forget, you can use code GOLDBOYS for a $500 deposit match on your first deposit. Thank you, Sleeper Picks, for sponsoring this video. Now back to the bets. Our next one is the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the New York Mets. This is Miles Mikolas versus Jose Butto. Jose looked outstanding in his first start. Generated, I want to say, like 15 whiffs. Just absolutely incredible. Against this Cardinals team, they're very patient. They do strike out quite a bit, but they're not going to necessarily chase outside the zone like they were at the beginning of the season. I'll be curious to see how they handle this here. Miles Mikolas, though, I'm not a big Miles Mikolas guy. I think Mets team total is more than in play. This guy gives up a lot of contact, a lot of balls in play. He won't walk anybody, but like I said, balls in play. If hits are falling, runs are going to be scored, and I think the Mets can put up some runs against him here. So give me the Mets team total. Give me a small lean to Butto over his Ks, depending on the line. There are enough guys in this lineup where I would still be enticed. Goldschmidt has been almost auto K in like 2 out of every 3 at-bats, it seems. Nolan Gorman's not too far behind either. So I think this is a spot where Butto can get his Ks. Our next one is the Washington Nationals taking on the Miami Marlins. This is Trevor Williams versus Jesus Luzardo. Luzardo, not been good. 6.58 ERA. Washington is a team that, I mean, they're not really smoking left-handed pitching, but they're a team that if Luzardo's doing what he has been doing, Washington's definitely going to put up runs. So here, I do have a small lean to Washington. Trevor Williams has been more than serviceable this season. He's not great, but this Miami team is not hitting. WRC plus below 100 against right-handed pitching. So for me here, Trevor Williams, I think he could hold him down. Give me a Washington Nationals first 5. Luzardo, been a little bit better at home, marginally. I don't think that this is a spot for him to get right. We've seen this Nationals team. They're pesky. They got some guys, obviously, tough to strike out. They put balls in play. And when you're a guy who's not really hitting the spots, not pitching well, that's just going to put you in a weird spot. So I'll take the Nationals first 5. Don't want to trust the bullpens. Don't want to go beyond that. But Trevor Williams, like I said, I think he pitches well. This Marlins team doesn't scare me. Our next one is the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Atlanta Braves. This is Logan Allen versus Chris Sale. This is an interesting game to me. You got Cleveland, who's 18-7, been absolutely outstanding, and the Braves obviously right there with them at 17-6. It's a brave spot though, in my opinion. Chris Sale has been good, 2-1. ERA is a bit up there. Logan Allen, obviously, every bit is good. Sitting at 3-0. ERA again a bit up there. But Logan Allen's been pretty fortunate with some of the matchups he's had. He faced the White Sox. He faced Oakland. So he's gotten some pretty easy matchups to start the season. And I think this is a bit of a wake-up call for him. ERA is already up there a bit. Expected batting average against is already up there a bit. I think the Braves just going to kind of bump it up a little bit more. So give me the Braves here. I think they get it done. Chris Sale, I'm a little nervous about him against Cleveland because Cleveland's hitting the ball extremely well too. But I think push comes to shove, I'm taking the team with the better pitcher and the better bullpen and just the better overall lineup to get the win here. The Braves always seem to rise to the occasion in these spots against these good teams, kind of to like make a statement, and I think they do that here to open this series. Our next one, Tampa Bay Rays taking on the 3-22 Chicago White Sox. This is Zach Eflin versus Chris Flexen. Tampa Bay. I love Zach Eflin. I love what Tampa Bay has done with him since he left Philly. It's been outstanding. Curveball's fantastic, and this White Sox team cannot hit the curveball. They really can't hit anything, truthfully. WRC plus is 58 over the last 2 weeks. If you don't know, that is really, 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 really bad. So I'm not expecting them to do much here. Obviously, the Rays not in the best form right now, but the White Sox team could definitely be the team that helps you get right. That's for sure. So give me the Rays. Give me Zach Eflin. If this one goes, there's a pretty high chance of rain. It looks like Eflin K's. I couldn't talk you off of that. I mean, it's definitely something I'm gonna be looking at. Think you can rack them up here. You're gonna see guys like DeJong in the lineup. Corey Lee. Eloy's back. Eloy's always good for a K or 2. Danny Mendick. There's plenty of targets in this lineup. Just way too many to pass up. I'd expect to be around a 5.5, and I think that's a great play. Tampa Bay, I'm sure the money line's going to be juiced because it's Eflin. So maybe look to the run line. I don't think you can go wrong with that. Tampa Bay team total. Chris Flexen is bad, and this White Sox bullpen is the worst in all of baseball. So this is don't overthink it. Fade the White Sox every single day of the entire season, and you are going to make a ton of money. As I mentioned at the start of the show, they're projected for 19 wins. So you can't go wrong with fading them every single day. Our next one is the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Texas Rangers. This is Graham Ashcraft versus Nathan Eovaldi. I love this spot for the Rangers. I love Eovaldi. He's coming off a rough outing against the Braves, which, it's kind of to be expected. It's the Braves. But great bounce back spot here. Obviously, this Reds team, as we've seen, striking out a ton. for the season and over the last 2 weeks. Close to 26% against right-hand pitching. Guys like Will Benson, Ellie De La Cruz, obviously for almost scheduled strikeouts in the lineup at least once. So give me Evaldi K's. I don't think you're wrong with it here. I'd even look to like Evaldi outs. I think he pitched deep in this one. 6+ innings, without question. On the other side, Graham Ashcraft, he hasn't been bad. The heavy reliance on like the sinker though, I'm not sure it's going to play well against this Texas team. You got a lot of guys who hit the sinker extremely well, including Corey Seager, Jonah Heim. Give me Texas. Give me Evaldi K's. Give me Evaldi outs. I think Texas gets this one done pretty easy, truthfully. Reds, they're a young team. They're an exciting team, but I'm just not sure they're ready yet for something like this.
Wait, before we get back to the picks, I wanted to thank you all for watching. Friends don't let friends watch videos without hitting the like button. So go ahead and press the thumbs up button and like the video. If you're new here and not subscribed, you should go ahead and do so because we're dropping new content each and every day on the Gold Boys Network. We strive to cover every sport and give out picks and analysis and valuable information for free on the Gold Boys Network. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell so you can get notified when we drop something new. I'm Brad Thomas. Let's get back to the picks.
Our next one is the New York Yankees taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. This is Luis Gil versus Colin Rea. This is an interesting spot too. You got teams traveling here. So you got Milwaukee, you got to travel from Pittsburgh, and then you have New York traveling from New York to go to Milwaukee. So you got two teams traveling to Milwaukee here. I like Luis Gil. He's a bit erratic, but as we've seen with this Milwaukee team, the numbers say they're decently K adverse. When they face these guys with high velocity, they just absolutely crumble. So Luis Gil, his strikeout's over. I don't think I could talk anybody off of that. It's a great spot for him. Obviously, it's always a concern because, he could walk 5-6 guys and be done by the 4th inning, but there's a good chance he could have 8 or 9 Ks by the end of the 4th inning too. So Luis Gil Ks, nothing can go wrong there. It's a little cheeky, but Colin Rea, I think he can get his strikeouts too against this Yankees team. I mean, Aaron Judge, my goodness, at least 1 strikeout a game, maybe even 2 at this point. Giancarlo Stanton, not far behind. For me here, he's probably gonna be like a 3.5, maybe a 4.5, and I think that he can cover his as well. So give both guys strikeouts and lean over. Probably my best look in terms of a total or a side is the over. Yankees, obviously a tough team to back because their offense is so hot and cold. But Colin Rea, he can give it up. This Brewers team used quite a few bullpen arms too in this Pirates series, so I'll be curious to see who's available here for them. The Yankees, obviously, Luis Gil, allows a lot of base runners, so base traffic, and then you got guys like Contreras and Adames who have been pretty hot with runners on, so I think you can see some runs here. But my best look's probably the strikeout over for both guys. Our next one is the Twins taking on the Los Angeles Angels. This is Bailey Ober versus Patrick Sandoval. As much as I want to take just over Ks against the Angels blindly, I'm a little concerned about Ober. He's been pretty good, not great, give up a lot of hard contact. Obviously the Angels, the biggest concern is Mike Trout. Anything beyond that, I'm not super concerned, especially because they've been playing Sano every day, which I think is absolutely hilarious. If you haven't been paying attention, Sano has more Ks than hits and walks combined. He's been terrible. For me here, small lean to over his Ks. There's too many targets in this Angels lineup to ignore it, truthfully. You're going to see probably 7 targets at a minimum. And even Mike Trout, as good as he's hitting right now, he's still susceptible to a K every now and again. On the other side, Patrick Sandoval, one of the best changeups in all of baseball, analytic-wise. A little concerned with him against this Twins team, who's extremely patient. His command hasn't been the best, so obviously he could walk a ton of guys, put a lot of guys on base. But his strikeout's probably in play here as well, too. As we know, the Twins, one of the heaviest strikeout teams in all of baseball. We saw Crochet just get 6 against them. Obviously, Patrick Sandoval is a bit different, more of a finesse-style pitcher with the changeup, but he's going to generate a lot of swings and misses against an aggressive team who is, has the second lowest chase contact in all of baseball this season, well below 60%. Our next one is the Diamondbacks taking on the Seattle Mariners. This is Zach Gallen versus Emerson Hancock. In this one here, it's very tough to trust Gallen on the road, similar to how it was last season. His splits are pretty dramatic. I do lean the over to his Ks, though. Obviously, Seattle, 30% K rate versus right-handed pitching. We can't ignore that. So you're going to see a lineup with 7-8 targets. Gallen probably around 5.5. I don't see how you don't take it. In terms of side, no real interest in taking a side personally. I lean the over. You got Gallen, like I said, on the road. Splits have not been nearly as good. I think he can get touched up here a bit, even if he gets his Ks. The Seattle team does have a lot of big bats, a lot of guys who can put the ball over the wall at any time. I do expect some runs here. On the other side, Emerson Hancock, 6+ ERA. facing a D-backs team who's top 5 offensively right now. So I think we see runs. Maybe the Diamondbacks outscore and win the game, but I have no interest in backing a side here. Our next one is the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the San Diego Padres. This is Aaron Nola versus Joe Musgrove. So you have the Padres coming out of Coors, and then you have the Phillies who are traveling across the country to San Diego to play this game. It is a pretty late one. For me here, though, I lean the Phillies. It's a tough travel spot, obviously, for them, but you have the Padres leaving Coors, which, as we all know, when you leave Coors, there's the Coors hangover. It's a real thing. There are studies on it. There are, statistically, you see teams who get the bats going at Coors, they leave, and the bats go ice cold for the next series or two because, you're just playing a different element there. For me here, I'm going with the Phillies. It's not pretty, but I think Nola can do enough to keep this Padres team at bay. There's also a chance Machado's still out. So for me here, it's the Phillies or nothing, truthfully. I have no interest in backing Joe Musgrove. I think he can get absolutely touched up by this Phillies lineup. They are loaded with left-handed power. Musgrove is just waiting to be touched up by, a good team. He's been pretty fortunate. He hasn't faced many, big-time offenses yet this season. Our last one on the slate is the Pirates taking on the San Francisco Giants. This is Quinn Priester versus Kyle Harrison. Quinn Priester, he came up a little bit last season, wasn't good. He's come up again this season, made one start, not great. ERA over 8. Allows a lot of contact, doesn't have really any kind of strikeout stuff, so no real concern there. On the other side, Kyle Harrison, been a very mixed bag to start this season. Had a couple starts where he's looked really good. Last couple starts, been very average. I lean the Giants. I don't like Quinn Priester. I'm guessing he's going to be, 4 to 5 innings, and then they're going to turn it over to the bullpen. They used a ton of their bullpen in this series against Milwaukee, so I don't know who's going to be available. But I think the Giants are just in a better position here. Kyle Harrison, like I said, mixed bag, but you're getting a Pirates team not hitting left-hand pitching particularly well. WRC plus is below 100 over the last 14 days, so that's a big stat for me that I like to look at. In terms of Ks, Pirates are super weird. We've seen it a few times. They have a decently high strikeout percentage, but they don't chase outside the zone. You saw it against Freddie Peralta in this last game. He was trying to get them to chase outside the zone, and they're just content with just sitting there with the bat on their shoulder. And if they get rung up, they get rung up, but they're not going to swing at it. So a guy like Harrison who struggles to hit his spots, I don't like to take him for his Ks because I'm not sure the Pirates are going to help him out enough to get him there. So nothing there for me. Like I said, Giants as a side, but don't love that game overall. That does conclude our slate, though. If you guys liked what you heard, like what you saw, drop a like, drop a comment. It means the absolute world to me, guys. I appreciate you all for tuning in. This will continue to be a daily thing. I'm loving all the love that we've been getting for it. So yeah, thanks for listening. And if you have a gambling problem, dial 1-800-GAMBLER. Appreciate you guys.